What we are supposed to have is a constitutional republic. What we have is a technocratic, expert, bureaucratic-driven government, really the design of Woodrow Wilson and the early progressives. No, it has nothing to do with that. It has to do with this very simple thing. They love the massive bloat and waste because it's like you said, Mark, they get to fit all of their little pet projects underneath the covers where nobody can see it. You got Stacey Abrams and one of her climate fund groups is supposed to get $2 billion when if you look at their tax returns, their revenue is only $100 and they're getting $2 billion.
Bryan Donalds recently spoke out and called out all the woke people and their liberal media, exposing some shocking information about Elizabeth Warren and what they did in the past. Make sure to like and subscribe, and let's dive into it. First, check out his recent interview on Fox News, where he completely broke down the woke people getting upset over Elon Musk and Dogecoin, gaining access to IRS data.
No, it has nothing to do with that. It has to do with this very simple thing. They love the massive bloat and waste because it's like you said, Mark, they get to fit all of their little pet projects underneath the covers where nobody can see it. You got Stacey Abrams and one of her climate fund groups is supposed to get $2 billion when if you look at their tax returns, their revenue is only $100 and they're getting $2 billion. This is the kind of stuff. They're so upset about Elon Musk and the Doge team having access to the Internal Revenue Service data and to the Treasury payment system. But there's a report that came out the other day that under Joe Biden, he let 53 researchers and students, unpaid people, go in and actually have full access to the data of the American people at the IRS. Joe Biden's administration let that happen. So they have no problem with the waste and the fraud and the abuse as long as their special interest groups are being funded and their ideology is being promoted regardless of the will of the American people. But our country can't simply survive that. We are very thankful that Donald Trump and his team are saying enough is enough. They are going to save this nation for the American people and begin the process of restoring a constitutional republic.
Honestly crazy how these woke people freak out when the same thing happens, but only when a different president is in charge. To make things even more interesting, Bryan Donalds is now running for mayor of Florida. But can he really be the leader Florida needs? Check out this video where he shares his vision for America.
A long time ago, my wife was with me. This is early on in this journey in politics. A long time ago, there was a phrase I always said when I would meet with people and talk to people. And this is when I was asking for votes, probably 8 years ago, 10 years ago. And I would say, I need your vote because we have a country to save. Well, CPAC, you delivered the votes. And now on Capitol Hill, working with President Trump, we are going to deliver and save the greatest nation man has ever known. God bless you, CPAC. God bless America. And God bless the future children of this nation.
What a true patriot. But he didn't stop there. He went even further by directly calling out corrupt organizations like the CFPB, labeling them as rogue, unaccountable, and unconstitutional.
How much do these agencies cost taxpayers when they're actually doing more harm than good with all these rules and regulations stopping companies from having progress? I assume there are other agencies in addition to CFPB that have the same situation where maybe there is room to merge these agencies into the Securities and Exchange Commission.
Well, I will tell you that regulatory overhaul, and I mean from the federal government, is something that is long overdue. There are many agencies whose missions actually need to be reformed for what our current economy does today and for the future, not for what it's been in the past. But the reason in particular that the CFPB is especially problematic is because it really operates outside of the purview of even Congress. Sure, the administrator of the CFPB has to come in and testify before Congress, but we all know those those hearings, a lot of times the director is basically trying to run out the clock when it comes to meaningful oversight. Under the Biden administration, Mr. Chopra barely answered congressional inquiries about what they were doing and why. But when they would put out publications, memos, letters, it would basically have the force of law on companies before they actually went through the full administrative process. You cannot have an agency operating like that, a rogue agency like this. So in my view, it's more than time for it to be shut down completely. And I'm glad that the president issued a stop work order on the CFPB, because everything they've been doing needs to go under strict review.
That's not even the craziest part. He went even harder on the CFPB, calling out its creator for totally failing to take accountability.
Set to introduce a bill this week to entirely eliminate this agency. Tell us why.
Well, first of all, the CFPB has been an albatross of an agency. It's been unaccountable to Congress. It gets its funding directly from the Federal Reserve. Most people don't know that. It basically shows up with a letter asking the Federal Reserve for hundreds of millions of dollars just so it can operate. And it really is this leviathan of an agency that just goes from company to company without really any enforceability by law. They put out these letters, these memorandum to force corporate action when they don't even go through the Administrative Procedures Act and the Process Act. This is a thing created by Elizabeth Warren. They put it in Dodd-Frank during the Obama administration. It was passed on a party line vote. And before the CFPB, each federal agency dealt with consumer protections. The Democrats' idea was to put it into one agency that operates outside of Congress, really outside of even the purview of the executive branch. And so it's time for that agency to be shut down completely, brought to a close. So my bill would end the CFPB.
That's harsh enough to send the woke crowd into a meltdown. But this is just the beginning for America. It doesn't stop there. Bryan Donalds also exposed the real agenda behind what the liberals are trying to do with the Constitution.
What we're supposed to have is a constitutional republic. What we have is a technocratic, expert, bureaucratic-driven government, really the design of Woodrow Wilson and the early progressives. This is the type of federal government they always wanted, one that would operate either in your face or in the shadows regardless of politics, one where Congress was basically miniaturized and the federal bureaucracy was really made to be this labyrinth that nobody could understand. And I think one of the key things about really demonstrated this is the presidency of Joe Biden. You had a president who was not running the place. The bureaucrats and the technocrats are running it. Congress was left outside of the entire window, getting no answers for the American people. And now you have the Democrats upset that Elon Musk is using the same powers that the progressives have been using for decades in our federal government. Because when you look at federal legislation today, Mark, everything is given to the discretion of a specific secretary within the federal government. All the discretion is given to them. And so now that the Democrats are upset, it's because Donald Trump has empowered Elon Musk and his team to use that same discretion given to the federal government by the progressives to unwind the very leviathan that they created.
And by the way, all those woke people and their media will never admit they've completely messed up over the past year. But the moment something good happens, they're the first to scream constitutional crisis. Anyway, no one's buying their nonsense anymore.
To my friend at 1600, who I know you guys are going to see tomorrow night, my friend, Mr. President, I already know they're not going to get you down. You just keep going. Because the forgotten men and women of this nation are grateful for your leadership. They are grateful for the vision, and they are grateful, frankly, for the guts to be able to stand toe-to-toe with the insane radical left and tell them no more. America is going to be in the golden age, and it will do tremendous things for the people that live here. And as for me, stay tuned. A few miles from here, myself and my colleagues, we have a job to do. And I want to tell you, we are going to deliver on the agenda that all of you worked for. that all of you knocked doors for, that you made phone calls for, that you got people to the polls for, that you might have been watching your polling location for. We are going to deliver on that agenda because the Democrats are a mess. The media doesn't even know what to say. And quite frankly, have they ever really known what to say? I mean, their credibility, please. Margaret Brennan, oh my gosh. Thank God J.D. Vance spoke common sense and real talk to her. But we are going to get this job done.